You want me to start?
Good morning. We are live. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Joe. How are you?
Good. How about you, Shirley? How you doing?
I'm doing a lot better now.
All right. Well, good. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Breakfast Club. This is Joe Shoup with my partner, Mark Stevens, and our manager, Shirley Pitts. Partner, too. So good. I'm glad everybody's doing good today. Seems like something's going around here today. The last couple of weeks, I know I'm watching tennis, and people are sick on the tennis courts from a virus or something. I don't know. I think it's those what do they call those? The chemtrails, see? Anyway, we're going to get started here. I'm just excited, Mark, that we're here. Mark Stevens is a financial expert. I've known Mark for a number of years through networking, and actually going to have some fun in Philly in the next couple of weeks. But Mark's been around this industry a long time, and he's also a financial planner. He's a financial expert. He's helped many, many people through their financial crisis, helps people get out of debt. Mark is a believer in multiple streams of income. He's with us in a couple of different companies, and but Mark's a great teacher. I mean, people ask for you, Mark, sometimes when you're not here or not scheduled to be on the Breakfast Club. People want to know where you are, to be honest with you. So that feels good for me. But we're going to talk a little bit about this industry today and what really is the problem in this networking arena, this home business arena, this MLM business, this online marketing stuff. And Mark understands this. He gets it. He understands how it should function. He understands why people make it and why most don't. So I want to just ask a quick question for those here who have the ability to answer this. I want you to type in the answer to this question. I asked this last week to a group of people last Thursday night, and let's see how many people can get this right. But I guess there's no real right or wrong answer, but most people do not get this, Mark. So I'm just going to ask this question. We'll put this up on a slide. Maybe I should share my screen a little bit, Mark. So I'll ask the question before we get there. What's the purpose of posting? What's the purpose of, let me just get this and start the slideshow a little bit. And there we go. Here we are at the breakfast, our slides, and this is basically, you shouldn't copy this kind of stuff, but what's the purpose of an email campaign or posting on social media? What's the purpose of those activities? So let's see, Shirley, keep in mind, I cannot see any responses at all, okay? If I do that, I lose my screen. So let's see. I'm going to wait for a couple people to answer. What's the purpose of an email campaign or posting on social media? Why does one do that? What is the purpose of it? What is their goal when they do that? What are they trying to achieve? There's a real good question. So let's wait for some answers. In the meantime, Mark, let me ask you a couple of questions here, and let's just have some dialogue with it. Tell us about your history, your background, your financial history, the class that you actually have. I know you have a 9-hour financial class that has changed people's lives. So let's just talk about you from the beginning of your business world into the networking arena and what you're doing today.
Okay. Ken says sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ken find the interested party.
Okay. Let's just keep those rolling along. It's okay if you jump in while we're giving, and just give some answers. All right, Mark.
Sharona says awakens people's interest. I'm done.
We're getting
to do what?
Too, Joe.
What was that, Shirley?
Awaken people's interest.
Who said that?
Sharona.
Okay, let's just keep the answers coming. In the meantime, let's go back to you, Mark.
Okay.
Shirley, hold on those answers for a minute. Let's just get Mark in here with his background and so on.
Yeah, okay.
Basically, my business background started when I was like about 12 years of age. Started with a paper route. And then after I graduated from high school, I actually, before then, I started a online, well, it wasn't an online business, but it was a mail order business.
Uh-huh.
And then as I finally got through high school and graduated from high school, then I started working for a company called Sears and Roebuck. Sears, as you know, is still in business, maybe about to go out, but they're still in business. And so while I was with Sears, I took a course called Dale Carnegie Sales and Human Relation course. And basically, it taught you about sales and how do you do sales and things of that nature. And then from there, at the same time, I went into the financial planning business. Actually, it was just a basic insurance business. And then eventually from there, I added the financial planning business.
Yeah.
And what I liked about that was life-changing is that I like working with numbers, number one, but then I like working with people.
Yeah.
And that's where I came into the liking of just talking to people, walking around talking to people. And that's why I enjoy that more today than actually online. I prefer to be sitting in front of someone or talking with them, looking them in the eyes so they can see and feel my passion for what I'm talking about. So so that's how, and then when online came, then I started doing online businesses. And then I saw where that could really change a person's life if they knew how to actually do it and do it properly and would actually do it, which a lot of people don't. But so then I decided, well, I'm gonna really learn this inside and out and learn what this business is about. So when I started doing that, then it helped the other areas as well. So what it started doing was bringing income online and offline. So, and then I learned about multiple streams of income because as we know, nothing is guaranteed but death and taxes. So my thing was that I wanted to pay as little tax as possible and I wanted to live as long as possible. So that told me I had to be healthy. To become wealthy, you got to be healthy. So all of that kind of ties in and brings to what I'm made of today. But the one of the most important things that I like to get over to everybody, and Joe, you said this, is that about people. In other words, doing right about the customer, but in addition to that, doing right about the people around you.
Yeah.
That became very, very important to me. And as of today, even I still, and we talked about, teaching people how to have a successful business working from home. I get to be on Skype, and I do have people in different parts of the world that I teach these principles to as well. So that makes it well-rounded. So that's where I am today.
Well, Mark, back to the statement of, not only do you have to do what's right for the consumer, we have to do what's right for the people around us. And unfortunately, in my last company, I don't have any problem saying this, is my my so-called upline, who I knew for years and years, two of them actually downline rated my organization of over 1,000 people. This just happened recently in the last couple of years. And all I got was, after they got caught, was, "I'm sorry." Well, actually, I might have gotten "I'm sorry," but I'm not going to do anything about it. They wouldn't put the people back. They wouldn't. It was crazy. And so it's not, you got to do what's right. So unfortunately, the two of them have a history with me as being dishonest. Both of them not doing what's right for the people around them, even though I supported these two people for years. And you know who I'm talking about. I mean, we know that happened. It happened to both of us. You had the same problem with the same situation with them.
That's correct.
And it's really, really sad. But it's also devastating financially because it cost me a lot of money.
Yeah.
And anyway, you have to do what's right for the people around you. In business, your reputation is everything. And Mark has a phenomenal reputation with people. I know people just follow him because he's easy to talk to. He doesn't pressure you, because Mark understands. It's not about getting someone to say yes. That's not what we're to be doing. Let's go back to some answers, Shirley. Did we get any more answers?
Cindy said to develop a list for marketing often and with consistency.
There you go. Look, let's talk about this. Let me see if I can go to this next slide. She's right. Good, Cindy. Cindy, by the way, has been through our class, so she gets all this. The purpose of all of your activity has to be to develop a contact list. Nothing else matters You're not trying to interest them. You're not even trying to find the interested party at this point. The very first step, and I can tell you right now, very few people really know this. Now, after we give the answer, they're probably all going to say, oh, yeah, I know. I knew that. Yeah, I just, even the leaders of some companies that we deal with and we're currently in do not get this. They're using email campaigns and posting on social media and not even teaching the people the right what the foundation of it is. And these people are running around doing email campaigns, texting, Facebook and all that. And what the bottom line to their thinking, Mark, is that they are trying to find people who will join them in their company. And that is totally the wrong thinking. It is way off base. Mark said something to me earlier today, this morning, about, you might want to elaborate on this, Mark, about the basis of making money is the contact list. Mark said that to me this morning. We were talking about things, and he said, it all starts with a contact list. You have to have a database. So, Mark, why don't you talk about the database for a little bit?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things in online marketing is building a list. And I've been building a list and still do today as we speak, build lists for years. Yep. And here's the thing, the money is in the list. You can have the greatest product in the world, but if you don't have anybody to get it to or a list to work with, you probably won't make much money. And
hey, isn't it true in the insurance business and the financial business you were in? Who were you going to go? How were you going to get your customers if you didn't start with a list?
That's right. You'd have to have a list. And, Joe, back in the day when we were coming up in this business, you'd be on the phone, you'd be out talking to people and getting them to share their information with you. So again, the list is the most important. And again, marketing, as we know, is what you do to get your information in front of people. But if you don't have a list to get it in front of, it's not going to do you much good. You're not going to make much money.
I'm glad you just said that. That's the question. What is marketing? See, people don't understand. How are you going to get information in front of people if you don't have a list? And that list is not sitting there to go interest anyone. That's not what it's for. Because I can say this to you confidently that well over 90% of the people on your list are not going to join you in your venture or buy your product. Guaranteed. Why do you think that people understood in the early days and up until this day, this is a numbers game? Because you need lots of numbers to find the interested party. But the truth is, you got to start with numbers. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, Joe, and another important aspect is when you find these numbers and everything, the other thing is communication. That's right at the top of the list. If you don't know how to communicate what you have to offer and what you're about to people, it's just not going to work. You're not going to. 9 times out of 10, you won't be successful because, again, as you said it before, and in the course, terminology and perception, it has to make sense. So the terminology that you use on your list, whether you're online or whether you're talking to people in person, the terminology you use is going to give them a perception of you. And if it's the wrong perception, you lost them. You just lost them.
And most people don't get why they're making the phone call, because let's go over this list real quick, and then we'll talk about, Mark, the terminology that you use when you visit people. But here's the thing. The activities, there might be some more, but the basic activities to develop a contact list is, in today's world, you need social media. But how many people are out there today posting like crazy, and it takes time to get someone to accept your friend, being a friend, you friend somebody to accept that, or for you to accept it from somebody. How long does that take? I asked that the other night. Ray told me at least 2 weeks before you send it to somebody and the purpose is to get them on your list. Now you got them on your social media list. Now what do you do with them? Well, that's step 2 is you got to get, if you want them to join you in your venture, you want them to know about your company, then you have got to somehow get information to them that says, go here and look at this. I mean, that's down to the basic foundation of it. That's what you have to do. But most people aren't going to join you in that. So if you're depending and sitting there thinking that these activities, any one of these, is going to create a result It may create a result, but I guarantee you, you're not going to be able to manage a result. You can only manage your activity. Never forget that. You can only manage the activity. And so we build the list. We use social media, Facebook, Twitter, and so on to build the list. And out of that list, you may find some people who are interested in doing what you're doing, maybe. But keep in mind, they're looking for you too. Doesn't mean you can't, show them what you have and they have somewhat of an interest, and maybe you have something an interest in what they have. Who knows? But that takes time. This is not an overnight, fix. It's not even developed to be a fix. It is an activity, a process to get a bigger list. Then we have email campaigns. You do that either personally or you do it through an autoresponder, putting people in your contact manager, creating the list in the contact manager, pushing a button and sending them a message for 30 days. That's an activity, and does it bring tremendous results? No. It is just another activity to create a list. And within that list, once it's there, is find out who's interested in what you have. Texting campaign. Very few people understand texting campaigns. We're currently doing those campaigns. And again, it's not, it's not a instant result type of thing. It's, again, to just build a list. Texting, if they text you back, you know what? I still have the list of the people. I have all their phone numbers, so I text them. Doesn't mean anything about the result. I'm not looking for the result. I'm looking to build the list, to find the interested party down the road. Direct calls. I mean, some people, I did that for years, and so did you, Mark. Just calling without, just trying to find and put people on your list, trying to find out if they're interested in what you have. Once you get to that call, and this is what Mark's talking about. Once you get to that, and the next one, the face-to-face marketing, which Mark is an expert at, those two things, you better have the right terminology. You had better be able to talk to these people effectively. So Mark, let's get down to what you like best of these activities. It happens to be face-to-face marketing, and you are a rare individual to be the one who says, I like walking into that business or seeing them on the street. And Mark spends time, instead of making the phone calls, he walks in his town, in the street, or wherever he is, and goes into a business and speaks to managers and owners. They are the decision makers. So Mark is in there trying to build a list of interested business owners and managers, and then getting his information. So Mark, let's pick it up from there. Tell us about your daily activity. Regardless of the company you represent, doesn't matter. You have a couple of things to say, and I want you to elaborate on the fact, what you say. I know how you say it, and I want you to elaborate on the actual dialogue that you use. And people, pay attention to this, because if you want to learn how to talk to somebody on the outside, whether you aggressively go into a business or you just happen to meet someone and you're thinking, this might be a candidate, I'd like to add them to my list, this is how you handle them. So Mark, you're the expert at this, and I'm appreciative that you're here today to explain this.
Okay, Joe. I call this basically relationship marketing, because based on what you've just gone over on this slide and everything, you don't just go on social media and just throw your business at a person, because first of all, you basically want to meet them and you want to establish a relationship. And so there's different ways of doing that, but the most important thing, you have to establish a relationship. Now, me, I prefer to establish my relationships face to face. And I love people, and I love talking to people and seeing the expressions on their face, and, especially when you say things. So I'm gonna share one that I do. And then, like I said, you may want to take some notes. It's up to you, but think about this. I'll give you, maybe if I'm going out, even to the grocery store, and, people like to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And the other thing, you do it with a smile. If you have a smile on your face, you attract people to you. So I'll just get in a conversation with someone, and then I'll say, I introduce myself and everything. I say, may I ask you a question? And the type of questions that I ask are questions that make people think. So I'll ask this question. For example, I'll ask a person, if what you thought you knew were true turned out not to be, when would you want to know? What you thought you knew to be true. Because think about all what we've been taught in school by our parents, by business people, things like that. And the thing is that if you thought it was true, but it turned out not to be, when would you want to know? And people, they would just start thinking. And then some people say, right away. That's the answer I'm looking for. Or yesterday. My answer is, I would have wanted to know yesterday. And then I said, okay, well, if time or money were not an issue whatsoever, how would you describe your lifestyle? That's what it's about today. People like lifestyle.
Yep.
So then they'll say, well, oh, if I'd want a lifestyle where I would travel. I want a lifestyle where I don't have to worry about money, a lifestyle that I can do things for my grandchildren and all those types of things that we like to do for our family and people that we love. And then my final question to them will be something like this. Well, if you knew that you only had 6 months to live, what would you put on your bucket list? And they will tell you almost everything. So now here's something that's very important. And Joe, if you may remember this, but one time we got together and we took a lot of time and we put slides and a whole presentation together, because I want to quickly talk about two parts of our society that are really roaring and they're up in arms and they're not happy because of what they thought they knew were true turned out not to be.
Yeah.
And that is, number one is us, baby boomers, 1946 to 1964. The baby boomers were taught that if you went to school, you went to college, you went to work, you worked 40 hours a week, you worked for 40 years, and then you retired and you had to try to live off of 40% of your income. Now, us baby boomers have found out, because a lot of them, and about 15,000 of them are retiring every day, they can't make it. They're not making it. They're looking for something to do. They're looking for something to supplement their income. That's one of them. The other one are the millennials, 1980 and up to now. They are stock raving mad because they found out that corporate America doesn't play fair. They don't want to even work for corporate America. Joe, what a lot of them are doing now and saying, I don't want to work for corporate America. I want to do something that I enjoy. I want to do my own business. So they're out there actually looking for us. But do we know how to get to them? Do we know how to talk to them? Again, I have to go back to this. Communication is very important, because Joe, based on what you have on this list, when these people, some of them will call you. If they have a way, they'll call you and they'll ask you, well, what do you do? What do you make? Do you know how to answer those questions? You can't build a relationship if you don't. And you can't build trust if you don't know how to answer that. So that goes back to the communication class. It's so important. Some people might put a light look on it, but I tell you what, before I took it, all the years that I was in business as a professional, once I took it, I didn't know what I thought I knew. I only know what I was taught. And guess what? It didn't turn out to be true. But once taking that course and been using that ever since, what's that, 3 years ago, Joe? Whatever.
Yeah, I looked that up the other day. Yeah, it was 3 years ago that you took the class. Yep.
3 years ago, everything has changed. It changed overnight when I first started using it. And that's why I always, encourage people, take the class. Take the class. And again, it's a business expense. It's tax deductible. Again, I try to make everything a tax deductible event. So again, here's what I do. Here's something I've been using recently. It's one of my new things. In studying the baby boomers and studying the millennials, I found out this. What they're up in arms about is debt.
Debt.
Student debt.
Debt. You mean talking about debt, right?
Debt, right. That's what I'm getting ready to talk about. Debt.
Okay.
Because everybody wants to have a great lifestyle and everybody wants to live free and everything and live a better life. The only way you're going to do that, you got to get out of debt. You got to get rid of debt. Mm-hmm. And I've also told people years ago that I learned that if you have no debt, and you have $5,000 of income, maybe a little more today because things have gone up a little bit, you can virtually live like a millionaire. So think about that. No debt, $5,000-$6,000 a month, you can virtually do things like the millionaires do. So you just have to learn that. So I talked to him. I say, well, here's a question I ask. I'll ask him, and I'm asking everybody on the line on here now. Think about these questions as I ask. Who do you know that's in debt? Well, that's not a hard question because 90% of the people walking around that you see are in debt and want to get out. Some don't know how, and some are just going crazy trying to figure out how to do it. Then my next question is, do you know 7 to 10 people in debt? Well, if you look at your relatives, your co-workers, friends, I guarantee you 7 to 10 of them are in debt and want to get out. And then my final question is this: if I can show you a way to get out of debt, is there any reason, it's not would you, is there any reason why you wouldn't want to do that? Now, if somebody told you they want to stay in debt, well, I'll leave it at that. To me, there's something wrong with them. But that's the question I ask. And if they say yes, show me how. Well, if I'm in a situation where I can't do it right then and there, I'll say, well, what I like to do, let's exchange information. I don't ask them for their phone number, but I'll kind of put my head down, have a piece of paper, say, what's your email address? And they'll give you that information. And then you have two ways of doing it. You can send them some information, or if they say, I might even say, oh, that phone number, like that. And a lot of them will give it to you because they want to get out of debt. That's a big thing today. The country, individuals, they're trying to get out of debt. And when you can do that and change that for somebody, any other business or things that you want to get them involved in, they're open to it because you help change their life. You help get them on the right track.
Mark, what's interesting about these questions like this is nothing has even been said about any of the companies that you represent.
Correct.
Nothing. And you know what? I'm just going to say this about Cooler Brands. 99% of the people, because I'm heavily involved in that company, so it's 99% of the people would start talking about royalties and how we help inventors. That's exactly what would happen on there. And this is clearly the wrong thing to do, in my opinion. Right now, it's about developing the list. Mark just told you how to get that person's attention. Now first of all, now they want to get out of debt. Look, you could offer them Cooler Brands to get out of debt. You could offer them other things, that people do. Mark does a couple of different activities and can offer them, saving gold down to, developing campaigns, to developing a feeder programs down to Cooler Brands. But one thing I learned from you, Mark, I don't know if I ever told you this, how appreciative I am of this, but I'm going to say it now, that one of the things that had me trust Mark, I don't know, it's been a number of years that we've connected, but it might have been Mark asking me about a company at one point. We had that, we had on each other's contact list for a long time. But I remember when Mark introduced something to me. Can't remember exactly what it was, Mark, but it was a while back. And the thing that was so impressive with me was that when I basically said, well, I need to look at the rest of the information. I've looked at it a little, but I need to go back. Mark's answer to me was, Joe, we're going to be here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, and next year. When you're comfortable to come with me to help develop an online or a successful business from home, I'm here for you. But you do that on your time, Joe. I mean, I never forgot that, Mark. And I've learned that myself with people over the years to make sure that I wasn't forcing someone. A lot of people can't, they get so excited about talking to someone. They have an interest. The prospect shows some interest in something, and all of a sudden the thought process starts racing, and you have in your mind, you have that person in your company already. You don't even know if there's really a match yet. But I always, Mark, have kept that in mind. It's one of the things that's ingrained in me, is that I don't force people and tell them there's a deadline and you better do it now and hurry up. No, they stay on the contact list. They keep getting information. They get follow-up, right? We always know that the fortune's in the follow-up. We know that.
Yes, and
because
see,
most people are going to hesitate in the initial stage, but you just continue to speak with them. And that's why an autoresponder or contact manager is so important, because it continues to keep them informed about where, what your conversation was and where you are at that time with your company. But,
the thing is this, is that in relationship marketing and just relationships in general, people don't care how much you know. They want to know how much you care. And
well, I learned that from you as far as how much you cared, because he could have easily said, well, Joe, you better hurry up and get in here. We're building fast. How many times have you heard, Mark, people say, look, if you come in now, I'm going to put people under you.
Yeah, do that all the time.
Yeah, give me a break with that
all
one.
the time. Yeah.
What a lie.
So again, let me just share one more, before we close out here pretty soon. Here's another one. Now, Joe, I know you remember this one. This is one way back, but again, I talked about debt. That's one thing that bothers them. And the other thing is taxes. So I asked the person, well, if I can show you a way to reduce your taxes, increase your income, is there any reason why you wouldn't want to do that? Now, who doesn't want to increase their income? Who wants to pay a lot of taxes? Those are the things that you get a person's attention with, is what bothers them every day. What breaks up families? What breaks up marriages? What breaks up relationships? So those are the types of questions that I ask people, and that gets their attention, and they want to talk to you. They're saying, well, if you can show me that, you got my attention, because that's what's bothering them every day.
Well, people are paying attention to what you just said and heard the key things that you said about asking a question. I ask this all the time. And once you go through the class and you understand, it's Charlie Bruce who taught us that, Mark, as you know, about asking that question properly. It's not, would you be interested? It's not, if I could show you, would you come along with me? All that stuff doesn't matter. The bottom line and the millionaires that taught us that, these were people that were millionaires in their 30s, early 30s, late 20s and early 30s, because they were actually in the insurance business. It's where a lot of this information comes from on my side, is that, Bob Safford, Charlie Bruce, and Hector, and so on, they taught us the proper way to ask that question, to get a response, to keep them involved. It makes them think, because if you say, would you be interested, you're going to get yes or no. But if you can ask them, is there any reason why you wouldn't be? It gets them to think about the reasons, or maybe there isn't a reason. And that is the proper way. If you've heard what Mark said and you don't follow that pattern and learn and develop that, just stay on the same path, because that whole thing, be careful the direction you're going. You might end up where you're headed. And you're going to be heading down that road unless you change. Look, we all know that change is necessary. The two constants in life are loss and change. They are the two things that will always be changing. Loss and change. They are constants in our life. And if you have never, and I suspect because the number is so high, 97%, in the red, not in the black, they're in the red. Most people have spent more money on online marketing, MLM, network marketing, more money spent than is coming in. That's called in the red. And if you keep doing the same thing again, you're going to end up in the same place if you don't change something. And what Mark said earlier, the key to this whole thing is understanding how to communicate your message. And one of the ways to communicate is asking that question properly. If I can show you a way to get out of debt, is there any reason why you wouldn't want to know that? That's how that question's asked. Thanks, Mark, for sharing all that. You were going to say something, then we'll close out.
I was going to say, when you think about this industry, and it's still going on today, when 97% of the people make little or no money, we've been trying to solve that for years. And what I want to say to everybody is that we've actually solved it, and I've shared it with Joe. So you may want to get back with Joe. And I guarantee you this, if you use it and you use a communication class, you have a lethal weapon to change people's lives for the better. Joe can share that with you. So those on the call, you can get back with Joe, and I'm quite sure he'll be glad to share that with you, because we have now, after all these years, we have now solved the 97%.
Yeah. Just got to get people to follow, which we do. I mean, Shirley's on the call with us now. Shirley, our manager, she's one of the people who actually embraced this class, embraced the language, and you can't stump her anymore. I can tell you that right now. She knows exactly what to do and what to say. And sometimes she says, yeah, but I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. But she has done one heck of a job, Mark. I mean, she knows the answers to things. She's not afraid to ask people questions. She knows how to answer questions when they arise. She is not afraid of it at all. And that's why people don't make phone calls and contacts, is because they are afraid. They fear that they're going to look silly and foolish because they won't have the right answer. But you know what? The whole key to it is, as Peyton Manning said, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, that the reason he was so good is because he did the simple things over and over again with precision. Simple things over and over again with precision. And that's what, we teach, is to do these simple little things. Learn to answer the questions. Learn to ask the proper question. Learn how to talk to somebody face to face, because it's going to happen. And you better not fumble, and you better not be in a supermarket talking about royalties. You better be talking about developing your list and getting that person on a list so you can sit down in the environment, whether it's home and you're on the phone or you meet them face to face. You better learn how to be a professional and do that. That's what's wrong with this industry, Mark. We have so many people in here that have no experience in business. We have the teachers, the uplines who have no experience in business, and they're trying to tell you how to run a business when they've never had success. So it's quite obvious to me why this 97% exists. It's because we have uneducated people and people unwilling to change, people that even sometimes take the class and go back to their old ways. And as I said, and I'll finish with this, be careful of that stuff. Be careful of the direction that you're going right now. You might end up where you're headed. In other words, where you were before. Without change, not going to happen. Change is necessary to succeed here. Especially the percentage is so high of failure in this industry.
And Joe, let me close with this, because I always want to leave a thought with people. One of the greatest, smartest men of our time, in past times, Albert Einstein, he says that education is not the learning of facts, but it's the changing of the mind. In other words, you have to have a mindset. I'll paraphrase it like that. Education is not the learning of facts, but it's the training of the mind. That's what he said. So everybody, especially when you come into this business, you have to have a mindset. So I want to say this, is that I always leave this with people. There's a difference in being broke and being poor. Being broke is a temporary economic condition, which means what? You can change it. But being poor, which has two meanings that I'm going to give too, being poor is a disabling of the mind, disabling frame of mind, and a distressed condition of the spirit. This is why a lot of people quit in this business, because if it doesn't happen overnight, and they don't learn these things that we like to teach them, then they quit. And there's a difference. That's when you lose, when you quit. You don't win when you quit. But then you can be successful or less successful, and the difference in the two is belief. That's the difference in the two. So when you talk about poor, which simply means, again, you don't have much money, or POOR, passing over opportunities repeatedly. So when an opportunity, and they say we only get 2 in this lifetime, when it comes to you, then what you have to do is you have to have a mindset, learn what it is, learn how to communicate it, and you'll be successful. So I'll leave you with that, Joe.
Well, thanks, Mark. Mark's the greatest teacher in this industry. He really is. I mean, if you pay, you can listen to how he presents this stuff and how educated he is. So you know what? Take it to heart and learn how to be successful. So Shirley, any more questions, Shirley? Anything over there?
No more questions.
No more answers. Okay, we'll go. All right. Well, look, everybody. Shirley, thanks for being here today and managing all this. And Mark, a million thanks to you to share your information. And Mark's going to be back next week for part 2. We're going to discuss this in a little bit more detail and talk about what that communication really looks like. So, Mark, thanks again for being here, and thanks for for participating and being my partner here. Appreciate it. You have a wonderful day, everybody, and go out and learn. That's what it is. Training of the mind to think. That's for sure. That's what you have to do. Rethink what you're doing here. Okay, so have a great day, everybody. Mark, again, thanks for being here. Shirley, have a wonderful day. Thank you, and we'll see everybody next week at the Breakfast Club.
Peace and blessings, everyone. Make it a great day.
Okay, see you later, Mark.
Okay, take care.
You too.